The following is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
The Polaroid 15-in-1 plug-and-play with a damaged cord. In my previous video, it's very obvious that this thing needs to be repaired. Here is a quick sample of perhaps the worst of it from that video. This one has a background I would assume was originally meant for some other game. It has some kind of wind resistance sort of element. Some of these might be fun if I can fix this thing. Maybe I'll do an update at a later time. The problem could also be within these weird plugs. Ridiculous. The way this was packaged really bent up the cord in a bad way. Not just here, but at the unit's base as well. Careless douchebaggery. So I found a replacement cord in a junk drawer with RCA plugs. And I'm going to use my new Soldering for Dummies beginner's kit. No, it's not really called that. Okay, here goes. I'm not scared at all. Maybe I should procrastinate again. No. It's time to dive into the shallow end and hit my head on the bottom. Despite residing in an unopened plastic bag, this cord was covered in dust. Weird. It cleaned up just fine though. I can't help but wonder what this went to. Oh well. Initially, I chose a stereo replacement cable because if you look closely, the red-tipped audio cable is a stereo cable. See? I cleaned off a table to do this on. Power strip, lamp, soldering kit and screwdrivers, plastic bin to hold the screws, the project itself. I just got this free office chair. Someone moved out of the building and left it in the lobby with a free sign on it. Score! I thought I would show it off real quick before my cats tore it up. I hope you aren't expecting anything detailed. I took some bad photos, but if I had tried to do this and film this, I would have increased my failure chances significantly. Step 1. Remove the screws. None reside beneath the battery cover if you're curious. 2 black wires connect to the battery terminals, one from the power switch, the other from the brown circuit board. A green circuit board has 5 wires running into the cord. 5. Thankfully, the cord wires are different colors. I labeled the battery terminal wires so I could heat up the connections and remove the wires from the terminals and hopefully eventually put them back in the right place. The connections were big, cold-looking balls of solder, but with flux paste, I was actually able to tin the connectors properly. Now I could set this half aside for later. I was hoping I could salvage and reuse this cord stopper, but the cord doesn't go through it. It's all one solid rubber piece. So I had to destroy it. They used some heat shrink wrapping here that I needed to carefully remove. It took some patience, a razor knife, and tweezers. Eventually, I removed it without damaging anything else. This was a puzzle I had to study. Why are there 5 wires instead of 6? These cord leftovers have to be removed. My only guess is the 2 audio wires shared a ground wire. I decided to strip the cord I just removed in hopes of a clue. 6 wires. So 5 wires ran into 6 wires somehow. I should mention that at this point, I could have attempted twisting the wires together with the new cord wires and not even soldering, but the wires are very thin and soldering them should make a better connection. I took the rest of the screws out and took the circuit boards out of the housing. My hope was that I could solder the new cord directly to the circuit board, but a giant glob of glue is in the way. I understand why this is done. Those connections are very fragile, but it's all over everything, including other parts, and it seems more industrial than the hot glue I use around the house. I do have a heat gun, but I feared the solder might liquefy before the glue did, at least all of it, and all the parts might slide away. Here's a quick look at the 2 joined by solder circuit boards for anyone interested. They covered all the microchips. It's typical, but a real shame. While doing all this, I snapped one of the battery terminal wires. I had to heat the connection and pull the wire tip out with tweezers. 5 wires into 6 was too much for my brain and for a first project. So I saved the stereo audio-video cable and stripped a mono RCA audio-video cable instead. I have a bunch of these. This one was good quality and not super thin, but nothing I would call professional grade either. Perfect for this. And then I tinned my first wire. These will be trimmed, of course. Then my second. Tinning all the wires took me a long time. Soldering is an art that takes a lot of patience. It's a feel more than a technical task. I'm glad I decided to try it again. Now to solder these pre-tinned wires together. This part was an insane balancing act. Before I joined the last 2 together, I wanted to show that I used heat shrink tubing. To do so, you put that over a wire before you join them together and then slide it over the connection. It's rubber, and if the wires touch each other, nothing will happen this way. You just heat it with a mini Bic lighter after it's in place and it shrinks up and grabs everything. A heat gun would also work, or if you're good with one, you can use your soldering iron. The red wire was so thin it snapped off when I touched it. So I soldered red to white. For mono audio it's fine, hopefully. Then I snipped off the red wire. I did something else too. I'll show you that in about 3 minutes. Time to close it all up and test it out. And it works. Beginner's luck, I know. I'll play that same game again for a comparison. It looks great now. The quality, not the game. It turns out this particular game was originally created for a motion-activated plug-and-play called the Tilt-Boy. This device has at least 2 other Tilt-Boy games on it. This one is okay. You try to catch the butterflies, avoid the bees. This plug-and-play actually has a fascinating history involving Jungle Tak, Technosaurus, Dream Gear, and My Arcade, as well as some interesting technical history involving different NES chips like the VT03, VT09, and even the UM6578. I would enjoy reviewing this device again now that it works properly, but I'm the only one that likes it. especially now. Oh cool, a new bug. Oh, I lost. I guess you avoid those too. Ready? Ready to move on. Let me show you what I've done. This is a Dollar Tree store micro USB cable. It looks nice. The braided cord is just a cloth covering over a normal cord. It's only about 3 feet long. The opposite end is a regular sized USB plug. So, this unit is now USB powered. 3 AAA, 3 AA, 3C, or 3D batteries equals 4.5 volts equals USB. Yes, the cord is too short, but I have a USB extension cable and I knew that when I started. I drilled a small hole in the housing for it. Both the power cable and the audio-video cable are held firmly in place by zip ties both inside and out. It's a very DIY look, but at least I used black ones. Overall, it's a complete amateur hack job. Is it perfect? No. Is it perfect for me? Yes, it is. I use one of these to get fake stereo sound from my mono devices. Time for some Mr. Potato. This looks so much better. It's nice to have a small amount of success now and then. Thanks for watching, and I hope your next endeavor is fruitful. Check out my channel.